Hey guys, what is going on? It's me, Mr. Mario, and I decided to do this little commentary. It's been a bit since I've done an actual video commentary like this, I guess, but we'll go ahead and do this. So, first off, I just want to say, yes, I'm playing BioShock Infinite again, this on the 360, and, recently I've only done BioShock content, and some of you might be tired of it, because literally, like, this week I think all I've uploaded this week is BioShock stuff, but, the game just came out this week. It's a fresh game. It's new. It's really, really good, you guys. It's so good. So, I don't know, maybe this will convince some of you guys to buy it. There's been some people who were interested when they saw my review. Others were saying they were off-put by it, but not the review itself, but they just didn't like the actual game, which I honestly have no idea why. A lot of people I know did not like the ending for this game, and I thought the ending was absolutely fantastic. Several people have said that the game is repetitive, and it's more repetitive than the first BioShock, but, to me, this is actually my favorite in the series, and it feels just as, quote-unquote, repetitive as the other BioShock games, so I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it from an opportunist point, but the game's got fantastic reviews, and I thought it was great. I beat it on 360 on Monday night, and I ended up buying it on PC, actually. So this is not the PC version. This is the 360 version you're seeing. But if somebody wants, I might do some PC gameplay or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and get on to the video. So, excuse me, but I want to use this as a tool to rant, okay? I'd like to just vent out. I'd like to rant. And, if people want to listen, awesome. So if you don't want to hear me rant, if you don't want to hear me, vent out about stuff, then just leave the video. You're 2 minutes in already, so just leave now. But if you do care, thank you very much. I really thank you, and we'll go ahead and get on to it. So this is a combination of a few stories, but the first story I'm going to tell, I'm not going to save the best one for last. No. I mean, they're all decent, I guess, but this is the title of the video. I'm not going to save the story for last. This is the first story I'm telling, so let me just say this week I've been busy, but it's been a bit rough of a 24 hours, okay? I'm recording this Thursday night. I'm going to upload it Friday, and this is pretty much what happened, okay? So, this morning, I woke up, and I think after I woke up, I got out of bed like 30 or 40 minutes after I woke up just because I was tired. But, I took a shower, got my coffee set, I ate breakfast. I was good to go. Now, in case you all don't know, recently I started living in an apartment. It was this year, actually. And one of the results of that is that now I do not garage my car anymore. In case you don't know, I have a 2000 Toyota Camry. I absolutely love the thing, It's definitely not the fastest thing out there. It's not, the sportiest thing out there by any means, but, I mean, I'm really not compensating for anything, so I don't mind too much. Also, it's got two 12-inch subs, which I'm a sound guy. I love music. I love sound, so that works for me. It's got a pretty good sound system that I threw in. But anyways, going on to the topic at hand, I go out to my car and throw all my stuff in the car, get in the driver's seat, turn on the car, and my car was louder than normal. And there was kind of a clicking sound. I don't know how to describe it, but it was definitely not normal. If you have a car and it's a daily driver for you, I mean, if you have a decent set of ears, you know when there's something wrong. So what happened was I was hearing something that was definitely not supposed to be heard, but I'd heard it a few times before. And I'm like, I've heard this a few times, but it normally stops after about 30 seconds. And it's all been this year too, but I waited a few minutes, I let it idle for like 5 minutes, and the noise was still there, so I said, you know what, I gotta get to class. So actually I was going to work, because I had work at 9:30. But I went ahead, I hopped in my car, and I turned the music down, actually, because I was trying to listen to see what was up with this car. So I'm driving, and I pull onto campus, I pull into the parking lot, I put it into park, and when I turned the car off, it started clicking. And the clicking I'm talking about is, when you turn your car on, like on a typical key set, there's lock, like going from left to right, at least in the US, there is, if I remember right, lock, accessory, on, and start. And to start a car, I'm explaining this real basic. I know some people are just like, Mario, come on, you're seriously explaining this? Yes, I'm explaining it. To start a car, you have to pop your key in, and you have to turn it over. You have to push it into the start position, and then your car revs up. Well, not revs up, but it turns over, and once it successfully turns over, you can pop the key automatically into the on position, and you're good to go. What happened was I turned the car off, and it was still making that noise like it was trying to turn over, which has never happened before. So I'm like, what's going on here? So I pop it into the on position without going to start. I went to on, which is right before start, and my car turned on. So I'm like, this has never happened before. This is kind of weird. So I turn it off, same thing. I turn it back on. Turn it off for a third time. The same thing happens. And what I do, I just turn it back on, and I called up my boss, and I was like, yeah, listen, so I'm on campus right now because I work on campus. I said, I'm on campus right now, but I'm not going to be able to make it into work because I can't turn my car off. Now, just pause for a minute, okay? I legitimately want to know about this. How many people, how often does it happen where, because, I mean, all the time people cannot start their cars, but how often does it happen where somebody calls in sick or they can't come in for whatever reason because they cannot turn their car off? I still find that a bit funny. But what happened, I talked to my boss, and she said, I could check it out at some place. I was going to go over to Sears, but I could have checked it out at a place, but she was saying, you should go to AutoZone. So I said, okay, sure. And she didn't mind that I was coming in later, which was great. She's so nice. But what happened was, I go ahead, I get in my car, and I start driving. And as I'm driving, about 2 minutes later, I start smelling something. It smelled kind of like burnt rubber. And I had my windows open, and I looked, and there were, a few trucks around me. So I was like, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to worry about this too much. I'm going to assume that it's the trucks. About 2 minutes later, it was becoming more prevalent. And what happens was, then I was driving, and I was close to an intersection, and then all of a sudden, I noticed that suddenly my lights start going off on my car. My radio went out, my clock was going out, my light started dimming, and I'm just like, oh god, this can't be good. And then suddenly my battery light comes on, which has never happened. So what happened was, my dentist's office was actually right there. I immediately pull in there, put the car into park, turn it off. And when I turn it off, it's still making that noise like it's trying to turn over. Excuse me. But when I do that, my white smoke starts coming out of the hood of my car, out of the sides, out of the front. So I pop open the hood latch, and I open the hood of the car, and right where the starter is, all this smoke is just billowing out, billowing out, billowing out, and I can still hear that turnover. So it was definitely the starter, alright? My starter literally set itself on fire. My starter burned itself out in a literal sense. It burned itself out. So what happened was, I went into the dentist's office, and I'm like, listen, I'm not here for an appointment, but I am here. I've come here for many years, but my car just broke down. I'm not trying to loiter or anything, but I need to call my insurance. So thankfully, I have full coverage on my car. I have roadside assistance, but I went out, I called up my insurance. They said that they would send over a truck immediately just to tow off my car. And they asked where I'd want it taken, and I said, you know what, let's just go to Sears, because that was one of the options, and it was like right down the road. So what happened was, I ended up taking it down there. Well, before this, after the call, I ended up calling I called my parents, told them what happened. Then I called up my boss, and I told her what happened, and she said it was the alternator, but and I thought it was for a bit, because she said she's had the same issues. It ended up being the starter in the end. But what ended up happening was, all of my friends were either in class, or they were busy, or they were working. So what happened was, I had to just walk over to campus, which wasn't that bad. It was like a 20-minute walk, and thankfully it was nice outside. Like, I was wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and it was like 65 degrees outside today, which was great. So perfect spring weather. But all that happened, my car got towed off, and the towing service couldn't they said that they could drive me to Sears, but not to campus. So I just had to give them the keys, and he took it off there, and I was good to go after that. So I walked on to campus. I went into work an hour late, but they completely understood. I was excused. And that's pretty much been everything. I also had a test today, too, so I had already studied for it. But, that was problematic because I had the test, and, the whole time I'm thinking, I'm not really too happy with the situation with my car. So I was worrying about that. I took the test, and then I had my physics lab, which was really long today, like the longest lab we've done for some reason. It was so boring, too. It was boring. But then one of my physics buddies, one of my partners in my group, he was nice enough to just offer me a ride to Sears because I explained the situation. I didn't even ask. He's just like, hey, dude, tell me where Sears is. I'll give you a ride. So he gave me a ride, which was great. And it was like over $300 for all this, but I had to get it done. And I don't really want to work on my car in a public area because, I live in an apartment complex. I just don't like that feeling. Also, I really don't know too much about cars, admittedly. Like, I'm not going to sit here in front and be like, oh, yeah, I know this and this and this. No. I don't know that much about cars, okay? I know enough to get by. I feel like that's about it. But anyways, that's been my Thursday, you guys. That has been my Thursday. It was not fun at all. Not at all. And the inside of my car smells like fireworks. And because I was in front of my hood for a few minutes when it was blowing out all that smoke, if you have ever microwaved a CD for about 15 or 20 seconds, that is what my shirt and my jacket smells like. And that smell ended up going into my car too. So my car smelled like fireworks and burnt plastic. It was nasty. Aside from that, though, I think the only other thing, like last night, for example, it was Wednesday. And okay, get this. This is going to be the last story. Only 2 stories on this long commentary, but whatever. But last night, for one of my business classes, we ended up... We have this group project. I'm in a group, and there's 6 parts to this project. Now, we're working on part 3, and including spring break, we had 2 weeks to work on it. Now, I pretty much did part 1 on my own for the group. The second part, I did half of it. And this third one, they're just like, oh yeah, you did enough. You're good to go. So what happened was I thought that we had already started on it. But at 8 o'clock last night, this thing is due at midnight, but at 8 p.m. last night, one of my group members sends out a text to all of us, and he says, hey, tell this guy he needs to start on the project. So I'm just sitting there. I was studying for my econ test, and I'm like, are you serious? We haven't even started on it? So I asked, can someone else do it? I'm studying for this econ test. And this guy said, no, I can't do it. I have too much homework. And none of the other guys were replying it. So I volunteered myself halfway into the project when I'm done with it. Other people, they felt bad. They were trying to help out. And it was at that point where, like, once I start something, I want to finish it. But also, just with practicality in this situation, it would have been more practical since I knew all the information that I was putting on the document, that I was the one who just completed it, and then I have someone proofread it. So that's what happened. But I pretty much had to do a, 5-man project by myself, and it took me an hour to do. But I just talked to my group, and I'm like, listen, guys, we can't do this again, okay? We really dropped the ball on this one, and we would have been screwed if I didn't volunteer myself to do this, because I want a good grade. Like, seriously, I have an A in the class. I want to keep my A. But that's about it, so that's been it, you guys. For real, that's been it. One thing, if you've made it this far into the video, you might have noticed I've been uploading a lot more. I've been uploading daily, pretty much, this week. And that is just because I've had a bunch of Bioshock footage. I had the game early, so I rendered out a few videos, so I've been trying to push this stuff out. But I have some extra stuff coming, so just stay tuned. And I'm going to go back to spacing it out every few days because, honestly, it is better if I just space out my videos, once every few days or even once a week. But this week, Bioshock's new. I've been excited about it. Lots of stuff's been happening with it, so I'm pushing out videos. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you have, I feel better already. And people, tell me some car horror stories. Just make me feel better, please. This is Mr. Mario signing off.